If I have an option to go completely green, I'll do it tomorrow. It's a no-brainer. Even if it's 10% more expensive, go with solar. But the reality is different.
2024 has been wow for Malaysian Small Cap Index, hitting a 10-year high as we speak. It's one of the best performing markets in the region. I've wanted to dive deep into small cap stocks, but I didn't know where to start. Then, I found RHB Small Cap Jewel 2024 edition, packed with all the insights I needed. Get your copy with the link in the description. After flipping through the ebook, I was hooked and I wanted more. So I'm interviewing the CEOs of these small cap companies, and here's the fun part. At the end of each episode, I will ask for a gift from the CEO and pass it on to the next guest. By the end, we'll see how much the final gift is worth. It's going to be a fun and engaging adventure as we uncover the stories behind these small cap gems. Let's see what treasures we can uncover together. I managed to secure a meeting with Deleum Berhad, an upstream oil and gas company that focuses in Malaysia right now, but they are also talking about expanding their business overseas. This company is sitting on more than 200 million ringgit cash, and that is something not many oil and gas companies is enjoying. Without further ado, let's go to meet the CEO of Deleum, Mr. Rao Abdullah. Let's go. Hi Frankie, good to see you. I see that you have a very interesting office. You put a lot of your personal pictures and all that.
This is the Deleum Centurion Award. We've been getting this almost every year. We are one of the companies that give a very high return to the shareholders. Post-listing 2007, every year without fail, we pay dividend.
This is something interesting that I find in your office. Usually I can only see this in Bomba.
This is an award that was given to me in 2017 by Halliburton. These are all the previous winners. Jeff Miller won it in 2011 and he's now
the current CEO
of
Halliburton. Yes.
So I won it in 2017. So this was when I was running Halliburton as a CEO of the company. My business at the time used to be about 13 billion with about 9,000 employees.
And now you are bringing that experience into Deleum, and we're going to talk a lot about it in our chat later. You are an accountant by profession, but you chose to go into an oil and gas industry, which is a very highly technical kind of industry. Well, you spent 25 years in Halliburton and you received the Big Red Award, right, which is the highest recognition within Halliburton. What made you give up that good career path and decided to come to a smaller company like Deleum?
I enjoyed the 26 years. It was very rewarding, helped me to build the foundation with my family, my kids, education and the rest of it. I owe to Halliburton quite a bit of that because it made me successful. But then, in life, there's always a calling. My calling came about in late 2017, early 2018, in the personal, personal thing. And I had to take stock, whether I wanted to continue doing this when I'm already comfortable in life, or I take a back seat and look into how I need to fix my issues that I have and pay more attention to my family, because I'm a very intense guy, I fail to balance these two very well. If my boss throws something at me, I need to fix it. I will go sleepless nights and try to fix it and do all this, and it all comes at the expense of something else. So that's number one. Second one is that I love giving back to the community. I do quite a bit of charity on my own. You can ask my staff, but how can I do a little bit more? When Deleum came knocking on my door, I said, you know what, maybe it's time for me to give back something to the country. To me, this was an opportunity to do something with a local company. Of course, I get paid for it, and I had to take a huge pay cut to come here. That's okay with me. It's a perfect opportunity for me to do something, grow a local company into a regional company.
And you can make a greater change as a big fish in a smaller pond.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I do today, Frankie, is what I used to do at Halliburton 15, 20 years ago. And I get my life back.
Deleum is a very unique oil and gas company in the sense that it is a net cash company. Very seldom we see an oil and gas company in a net cash position. Has it got to do with your background as an accountant that you have to look at the books and say, I must see cash in the bank? Or is it something that you brought from Halliburton into this company culture and change it to such uniqueness?
I inherited this whole thing.
Yes.
The credit goes to the previous management and to the board. That was one of the things that attracted me to Deleum.
To join.
Because they had a strong balance sheet.
Yes.
If you look at Deleum, right, been very conservative. There's always been the boardroom discussion at Deleum.
Correct.
We need to move away from being overly conservative, but at the same time, I don't want to destroy the shareholder value. Yeah. The one thing that was missing in Deleum was the growth aspect of it. At the same time, growth will come with technology. I believe that you have to have technology supporting you. And on top of that, the culture has to change as well. I come from the culture where everything has to be done. Urgency is important. Here is wait, see how, what, you know. So what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to bridge the two culture. I'm trying to find a midway.
How far do you think you are from the midway?
Oh, I've gotten close to midway.
Oh, you've gotten close to the
midway.
midway.
For 2 years, my team struggled with me. They think I came from space. They are now embracing it.
Okay.
They're embracing because the reason they're embracing is that at the end of the day, the welfare of the employees have to be taken care of. One of the things that we have done is that to build the foundation, we must have a way to make our people competent. And the third one is that the processes, how we deliver the work, must be a structured way. By end of this year, we'll have what we call Deleum management system. So when my staff goes out and does the work, they know exactly what to do. If there are problems, this is what you do. So the processes will carry you all the way to tell you how to get things done properly. In the past, all this is in somebody's head.
So if the somebody leaves,
gone.
Chaos. I suppose that is the reason why RHB is putting you into the small cap jewel. But before I continue further, right? So the previous guest that I interviewed was actually the CEO of Carex, the world's largest condom manufacturer. And they are kind enough to actually give us one of the samples.
Thank you.
For me to pass on to my next guest.
Thank you.
So this is for you. Go and enjoy yourself. Have fun.
I'll find use for it.
You'll find use for it. Coming back about responsibility, where everyone needs to be responsible with their action. There's this Netherlands-based PFZW, which is one of the largest pension fund in Europe. They have decided to divest away from 300 oil and gas companies because they are not convinced with the decarbonizing plans that all these oil majors are doing. What is your comment? While everyone is saying that we all should take responsibility, but it looks like not everyone is doing it.
If I have an option to go completely green, I'll do it tomorrow. At the same time, you have to look at the energy trilemma, the sustainability, the affordability, and the security. Let me take you back a few hundred years maybe. The first industrial revolution, the second industrial revolution, the third one changed the world. You know, energy was the catalyst for all the development we are seeing today. You know, people forget because they had it for so long, they take it for granted.
You are the second person who told me similar kind of narrative. The first guy was Mr. Louis from Farm Fresh. So everyone was saying that, oh, you're operating a farm, you're not ESG compliant. But then he turned the table around and said, look guys, we are producing milk responsibly. But there are some companies outside, they put all this sugar and whatnot into their milk, into the formula, just for the sake that it hook on to the children to continue to consume the milk. So is that considered ESG? I think you guys have a similar narrative when it comes to sustainability.
Yeah, I mean everyone is responsible.
Yeah.
The way I look at it. It's like, blaming the gun guys because they created guns. But who uses the gun? You know, I'm like cigarette, alcohol, everything. We have to produce oil in a more environmentally friendly way, in a more look into flaring. You know, we did abuse that in the past. All that changed when this COP21 came about, making us realize that, you know what, you can't do the old way. As an industry, everyone is looking into how to reduce emission, how to produce in a very responsible way.
Some of this news, we read it from the international perspective. You know, Shell is doing it, Halliburton is doing it and all that. But what about in Malaysia context? How advanced are we when it comes to taking responsibility to reduce emission?
We are. If you look at in Malaysia, Petronas with Gentari, they invested big time on that. And they're really going all out to find ways to look at green energy, and plus their Petronas initiative on Kasawari CCUS, where they're looking at, you know, taking CO2, putting it under the ground, cleaning the environment. So these are not $1-2, you need deep pockets to do that.
You're right.
And for us, like smaller companies, we're also looking at it in a different way. Some of my competitors have gone into solar. I applaud them for doing it because they can find the niche. We could not find niche on the green energy. At this point in time, maybe it might change in the future. But for now, what we are looking at is that we are looking at how can we contribute. Our investment in LAT 60 and CRA tubular is a classic one. On the LAT 60, what we are doing is that we are looking at emission. Help my customers where the biggest emission is, where are the fugitive emissions, so that they can take proactive measure to help reduce the emission.
Right. So you're going into consulting business as well?
I wouldn't say consulting. It's more of being a data provider for them.
Right.
It involves a lot of analytics as well. The other one is on CRA tubular, for example. If you look at it, carbon sequestration, the Kasawari and even so many countries are looking at, and I have to applaud, Petronas is probably one of the, it's on the forefront on this. So on that, we should, as Malaysian, we should be proud of it. Yeah? You're looking at putting CO2 under the ground, yeah? You capture, carbon capture, put it under the empty reservoirs, but the law requires it to be kept in the ground for at least 100 years. And it's CO2 usually very corrosive, yeah?
Right.
So you need to have the jewelry that can keep it under the ground for 100 years.
So this is where your service comes in, right?
It is expensive.
Yes.
So our investment in CRA tubular is with titanium and composite. It's much cheaper. 22 and 25 chrome is expensive. So sometimes projects become not viable because too expensive.
Right.
So we are coming up, our investment with CRA tubular is one that looks into making it cheaper and affordable, so that makes the project viable.
Be more responsible means that you need to incur more costs. And has that eroded your margin, or do you think that this is an opportunity for you to make even more money?
It's both.
It's both.
Both. You have to invest in order to make something. We are not just driven all by profit. We have to do it responsibly. We got to comply to the laws of the country and so on. So if when a compliance comes into the play, profit takes a backseat, yeah?
Which shareholders don't really like sometimes.
We in the company side, we have to explain this to them.
What's more effective, a 3,000 megawatt gas-powered plant or a solar panel farm? Which is more effective when it comes to producing power?
Of course, the gas plant will be more effective.
The gas plant will be more effective.
What they're doing is right, but can renewable give you the energy that you need? Not at any price, yeah? At an affordable price where you can afford to pay. It's a no-brainer. Even if it's 10% more expensive, go with solar. I would preach to that. But the reality is different. Prior to COP21, energy transition has always been moving away from coal and if possible oil to gas. Because at that point in time, they felt gas, it's not they felt, it was the reality. Gas is much cleaner. Then COP21 came and they said, oh no, we got to get rid of fossil fuel completely. Then COP28 came about and they realized that, you know what, it's impossible to get rid of fossil fuel. So now they are talking about coexisting. My point here is that policymakers are there to drive all this. And they're not always right. They can be sometimes wrong. And they have this vision. Vision sometimes clashes with reality. And when vision clashes with reality, what happens? Who prevails? Reality prevails.
Maybe that's the reason why Petronas is still very aggressive trying to discover more oil fields within its territory. And if I could recall, by the end of last year, they discovered some 1 billion barrels of new oil, right?
Yes.
So that could immediately translate into potential projects for Deleum to hop on going forward. But what is the potential that you're looking at right now on this extra 1 billion barrels of oil?
It's not just for it's for the whole of industry and the country. Oil and gas industry contributes tremendously to the government.
Correct.
The GDP, big time, yeah?
Yes.
So all these projects, yes, it will help, not just Deleum, but every one of us. But again, we have to be responsible. We have to drill responsibly, we have to produce responsibly, we got to cut down on emissions, we got to look at reducing the flaring.
So the catalyst in Malaysia is there, 1 billion barrels of oil. And just now you also mentioned about you were trying to make Deleum into a regional company. So what are the efforts there for Deleum to step away from Malaysia and look at other parts of the world?
Our Indonesian potential acquisition, we're still going through the due diligence. And we're also looking at Thailand. In Indonesia, we've been working also in some of the the fields, the old fields where we are using our chemicals to rejuvenate some of the wells. So there are a lot of things that we are doing, moving away from being too dependent on one market. But like I told you earlier, we don't want to bite more than what we can chew. And destroying shareholder value can do it quickly. What we are trying to do, frankly, is not to grow organically, is through acquisition. Because if you add capacity to any market, you're going to drive the price down. So we are looking at people who are, who have some financial issues. Our strength is our balance sheet. So we can marry and try to find a way to, improve both of us.
Typical Chinaman mindset would be, I'm going to go there, I'm going to build my own capacity, build my own line, I'm going to kill everyone by lowering the price, right?
Yeah, we cannot get greedy.
Before I let you go, Rao, there's just one small request left. Remember, just now I mentioned to you that I would get something from my guests to pass it on to the next one. So do you have anything that could represent maybe yourself or maybe Deleum?
I'm a golfer. I like to give the next guy Deleum golf balls.
Deleum golf ball?
Yes.
Oh.
So, there you go. Let me show you the...
Do you have a mass production on these
No,
golf balls?
no. Deleum logo is there.
Got it?
So I hope the next guy is a golfer. If he's not a golfer, he can give it to someone in his organization.
Nonetheless, thanks so much for your time, Rao.
Thank you.
It's really interesting to look at oil and gas from a different perspective. The one key thing that I learned is definitely responsibility. Thank you, Rao. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right.